Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. As we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today in a very late episode of Animal Crossing, but probably the last late episode for a while because, as I said, I've been busy with personal life stuff in this week. The backlog has officially run out, so we're starting fresh all over again. Where I try and build up a backlog, I suppose, by the time we get to the holiday season, where I may or may not be busy. It's kind of here and there, to be honest. But yes, this is a very late episode. It's almost midnight, and honestly the episode will probably end just before it hits midnight. But yeah, I could have recorded earlier, but honestly I was just enjoying my relaxed time. So good evening everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow it's 11:42 PM on Friday, December 9th, 2022. Oh, excuse me. You might be like, what were you doing with your relaxed time? Oh, just like playing games and that sort of thing. Actually, one thing I do want to talk about, and I feel like I've spoken about this before, but I'm not exactly sure. But basically, I don't even know how, because I don't know the full story of behind the entire thing. But as I understand, on College Humor, there is a game show called Game Changer or something, which I've seen clips from, and you've probably seen clips, or possibly seen clips from it. If you've seen one, it's going to be like I can't remember. Is it Lee Brennigan? Wait, hold on. It's something like Lee Mulligan, but that's obviously not right. There's no way his name is Mulligan. Hold on. I want to say Lee Brennigan, but that doesn't sound right. Lee Brannigan? Is that it? That doesn't sound right. Hold on. College Humor. Is his name not Lee? Brennan? Is it Brennan? Brennan Lee Mulligan. Okay, never mind. His name actually is Mulligan. Completely got that wrong. You probably seen his thing where he had like a huge run on one of the shows or whatever. I don't know. It's honestly quite an epic run where it was apparently just up to of his head, which is incredible. I'd love to have improv skills. I like that. But no, there was an episode, and I talked about it actually ages ago, so I saw it posted on Reddit, where basically hold on. Start from the beginning. The point of a game changer, as I understand it, it's a game show where the rules change every single show. So they're basically playing a different game show every single time with just the express purpose of trying to win points. But one of the shows that was like an improv musical, as I understand it, it's called Mountport. I don't think it's on YouTube, but someone uploaded the songs from it, which is the important part of this. I'm sure if you subscribe to whatever like Dropout, whatever it's called, you can see it for yourself. But I talked about that video ages ago because I was like, that was insanely impressive. It's basically the entire thing is an improv musical where these three very talented singers, who I assume have some sort of musical experience, with just like being fed prompts, being like, blah blah blah, this is going to be like a moving musical number, whether the hero's soliloquy or whatever, and etc etc etc, and where we just managed to improv these like amazing, like obviously then if you saw that show in Broadway, you'd be like, whoa, or what a weird like premise, and I suppose you'd be like, oh, that's a bit of a weird like Broadway adaptation, I suppose, for any sort of musical. But the fact that it was literally just like off the top of the head, and they pulled out like these like mad musical songs out of nowhere is insane. And I watched that like first time, and then I spoke about it. I don't remember which episode I spoke about it in. It's probably called Musicals or something. It was incredible. Like I could not stop like being like amazed. Like, and it's sort of that sort of ability is what I want. Now obviously they've worked very hard at it. They probably worked very hard at not only in their singing capabilities, but their improv abilities and comedic chops, etc., and they have good synergy with each other, etc., etc. But anyway, you might be like, what's this got to do with anything? Well, apparently, College Humor, they made like a spin-off, series based off that premise, and probably not for many episodes, probably like 5 episodes, I would guess, called Play It By Ear, where basically the whole thing is it's a game show where they have to improv a musical, given things, and I only stumbled across it like randomly because one of the episodes was uploaded to College Humor. I don't even remember how I got there, to be perfectly honest. Maybe it was recommended to me or something, but the one uploaded onto their channel is, I can't remember what it's called, to be perfectly honest, but hold on. If you look at it right now, you'll probably see it's still there, because it was literally days ago when I saw it, and I was like, Play It By Ear, what is this? It sounds kind of cool. And then, well, actually I'm not sure why I clicked on it. And then, is it because of the thumbnail? I looked at it and I was like, I recognise the oh yeah, no, it was the two people in the thumbnail. I was like, hey, I recognise the people. Play It By Ear, full episode improvised music show. oh, okay, it doesn't have a title, maybe that's why I couldn't remember it. I was like, oh, those are the two people from a musical thing. Is it good? And then I clicked on it and I watched it, and it's basically the entire show where they just improvise musical songs, and it's great. And you know me, I love my songs, I love my music, and that sort of thing, and I'm constantly impressed of how amazingly people can just improv things off the top of their head. It's actually astonishing, you know. Like, obviously there are improv classes, you know, the golden rules of comedy being like yes and no but, or whatever. And I can't imagine how that would even like specifically apply to singing as well, because not only does you have to, for one, you have to have amazing improv skills. In fact, I feel like I talk about improv quite a lot, surprisingly, for someone who doesn't really know much about it. But yeah, obviously you've got to have amazing improv skills in the first place. Musical talent, and, you know, ability to sing these musical songs, and, you know, got to have a strong awareness of the genre in the first place to know like the sort of tropes it goes into, and the story beats it sort of hits, and the musical phrases and compositions which are quite common in it, and then also you got to have amazing musical improv ability, where you just got to be able to come up with on the fly you got to come up with topics, something comedic, something which rhymes, something which has a reasonable cadence and fits together. I mean, you got to combine them together to make improv musicals. What? That's amazing. And not only that, other people who perform very talented and amazing is they have like the people who are playing the instruments, the band, who I guess are also performing. Now I think about it, so it's, you know, a bit reductive to try and separate them using verbs when that's not the case. They perform just like absolutely incredibly as well, because they're obviously improving as well. Like, probably they can prepare some things beforehand, like, we're going to play in this sort of key, this is the sort of style we're going to play, but they had to react to like the performers like musical beats and whatnot, like being like, oh yeah, this seems like a slow moment, and it's sort of like this amazing synergy where it's like, I can't believe people can improv and have this sort of synergy together. And you might be like, is it all fake and made up? And honestly, maybe the answer could be yes. I'd be surprised, you know, and I certainly don't doubt there's people out there talented enough to be able to improv musically, you know. You can see the sort of things that people come up improv with, like, comedically, and, you know, obviously the things they don't do aren't perfect. If you actually listen, I think it's actually just a very well edited show as well, because you can sort of listen in and you can see them like sometimes singing over each other, but then like immediately stopping to let the other person continue, etc., etc. So you can sort of see how the flow sort of goes. It's just like well edited to, you know, like make it seem as seamless as possible. Like, obviously if you saw it in person, it probably wouldn't, you probably wouldn't be like, whoa, it's literally flawless. You'd be like, oh yeah, you know, they made mistakes here and there, but it's still incredibly impressive. And it's sort of just like, you know, it gets you sort of wondering, being like, wow, what if I had that sort of ability? Now, obviously, you don't have ability, and if you wanted to get that ability, you would have to just literally train yourself through, like, years and years of probably, like, rigorous practice in, like, multiple different fields, and then, like, trying, you know, it's literally, there's no secret to being good at something, really. But the secret is, okay, you know, there's little asterisks, but 95% of the time, the secret is you just have to practice and get good. There's a 5% chance when you do something, you are literally just naturally talented at it, but, you know, that only gives you like a good base level to improve. No one really improves just sort of like inherently, or no one starts off as like an expert in something, probably. Well, I don't know, maybe you can give it a good example, like of someone who probably just like did something and was like immediately like a professional. Like someone who's like, I can't even think what that could even be applicable to, but like someone who like has never played chess before and has like played a few games and is like, oh, they have 1800 elo. You'd be, okay, that probably never happens. Like, even the prodigies aren't like 1800 elo, like off our first game, right? So, you know, obviously these are things which, but let's not discount the hard work and the effort and all the time and the investment that the people, these very talented people, have put into it to be able to hone these skills in the first place. But, you know, you can't help but have these sort of like whimsical, I'm not sure if I want to say envious, because it's not quite envy, it's sort of like an appreciation, but you know, you kind of imagine yourself in their shoes being like, whoa, what if I could just like bust out an improv song out of like nowhere? Because, you know, it happens all the time in like musicals and like and musicals I suppose mainly, and like any sort of show with like music in, is that people just like at the drop of a hat, boom, song out of nowhere, perfectly orchestrated number, obviously not realistic, obviously not trying to be realistic, but part of me is just sort of like, I kind of want to see it like happen in real life, you know. And I don't mean like a pre-recorded, like pre-rehearsed, like this is a musical number which you're going to bust out, sort of like a flash mob style. I want to see someone, you know, like obviously you'd probably have to be like a group of like drama kids or musical theatre kids who are like really like jive and improv with each other like all the time, and just like you'd be like, you know, it's time for a song, and then everyone has to basically be on board and understand what's going on. So not only do you have to be incredibly talented the performance sense and the technical aspect, you had to be very talented in the improv part of it as well, and then you had to also have a very good synergy and like relationships with the people you'd like singing with in the first place, right? Otherwise it's kind of like not going to go so well. But yeah, it would be incredible to see, because it's also like a thing I thought about, like there's a scene in, well, multiple scenes in all the Pitch Perfects, I think, but basically, if you've seen Pitch Perfect, the riff-off is what I'm talking about, which you might not be surprised. If you don't know what riff-off is, it's basically this quote-unquote musical a cappella battle between bands, a battle of the a cappella bands, where basically, they'll spin a wheel and be like a genre, like music of the 80s, and then people got to start just like singing songs like, hit me with your best shot. Is that from the 80s? I think it is, I'm not sure. But then any other group can basically hop in at any time by when the initial group says a word, they just continue on with a different song from that same word. But of course that's, a little bit, you watch it and you sort of go like, is that possible? It's very much in the realm of plausibility. It's perhaps, it's weird because like, there's sort of like levels of like impossible, like suspension of disbelief in a movie. Like the thing is with riff-off is everything is obviously very physically possible. Like, you don't watch it and be like, no human can do that. You'd be like, yeah, okay, I can see why a human would do that, but it's something, at least when I watch it, I was just like, is that doable? Is that like, can people really just like improv these songs at like a drop of a hat? Like be like, oh, she's singing Hit Me With Your Best Shot by Pat Benatar or whatever, let's like we'll like improvise like a whole accompaniment, like do 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 or whatever in the background, and it just works and it sounds amazing. The answer is probably not, but probably is something like which has that sort of general structure to it. I can imagine people doing at least that riff off concept between each other. And certainly if you're in an a cappella group who is, you sang together a lot, you can probably get out some generic sort of accompaniments with people. Someone starts singing the main line and then someone joins in with an accompaniment. The beatboxer, they kind of like know what they're doing, and all the people who sing like the backup vocals of the instrumentals can sort of like find their place to slot into the song, I'd imagine. But it's sort of just like it's never going to be quite that flawless, is it? But maybe it is. Maybe it genuinely is. After seeing these sort of game show things, or being improv like a musical song off the top of their head, imagine how much better they'd be if they had legit songs that they knew how to sing, that they knew about. It would be incredible. Like, I don't doubt it, So basically, what I'm saying is, what if I was a musical theatre kid and also, hung out with only other musical theatre kids, and then we just busted out songs all the time? Obviously, that would never happen, and probably, it's probably wouldn't even be very interesting. It's sort of like the grass is always green thing. I don't mean it like that's what I want my life to be. I just like, like imagining that situation, just being like, oh, this calls for a song, and then I sing my own like image song or character song or whatever, which is relevant to the story beat which is going on in my life right now or something. It just sounds kind of amusing. I feel like it's something that I like more in concept than I would like in reality. It's sort of like taking the perspective of like, oh, what if my life was like a media property or something like that. I don't often think about it. Let's not go that far, but like I sometimes like have that as like a thought experiment, be like, oh, what if my like life was like on TV tropes or whatever? What sort of tropes are going? Would like the audience, would they like me as a character? Would they be like, oh, this character arc is so cliche, etc., etc. And you might feel like that's some like next level narcissism, which maybe you might be right, but no, it's more like a fun thought experiment is probably more like how it is in my mind, to be honest. I'd be like, it sounds like, I don't know, it's just like the idea of it is so absurd, but like obviously I'm like a real person, or as far as I know, I suppose in my own reality I'm real, whoa, deep, but like in my perspective I am real, but then like coming at my own experiences and the way that life has happened to me, and imagining someone watching it being like, oh, I hated the show about Dear Darling because it's just, her life is so unrealistic or something like that. I couldn't get into it. Like, obviously, my life is as realistic as it can get because I have lived it, but just I don't know, the thought of like someone like some invisible audience watching and critiquing it for like poor writing or something is, I find it very amusing for really no apparent reason. And maybe you might be listening to this and be like, yeah, I can see why that's quite funny. You might be also be listening to this and be like, what are you talking about? That's not something I want to imagine. I don't want people watching my life, in which case fair enough. That's probably why I'm recording a YouTube video right now. Maybe there's some sort of like underlying designs beneath that. I don't know. If anything, I just want people to listen to me ramble on about something for about 20 minutes every single day, and, you know, mission solved. Accomplished. And you don't really say mission solved, do you? But anyway, like, these improv musicals are, like, insane. They're just utterly insane. Like, I don't even know. It's like, I'm going back and forth and, like, being like, oh, I can't even think how you'd begin to say this, how you'd even begin to learn this. But then, you know, like, people often do that with, like, skills I know as well. Like, I'm not even that great at, like, drawing, where people be like, I can't even imagine how to, like, draw. And the answer is just, like, I just, like, drew and just, like, practiced. That's about it. I didn't even learn in a proper way, like, from, like, a book or anything. Like, and honestly, I probably should have. I probably should have, like, learned properly from a book and how to, like, study forms and anatomy, etc., but I just didn't, because I didn't want to. You know, a lot of parts of doing a hobby is, one big part is motivation. I'm not, like, planning to, well, you know, actually, I guess that's a lie. Now I think about it, I was be like, I'm not planning to go pro, but I was like, no, technically I've done commission, so I guess by definition I am. But that's not really what I meant. I mean, like, I'm not planning to be like the next Leonardo da Vinci or something. So, you know, the flimsy motivation is a fickle beast to deal with in the first place. So, you know, most of the times when you want to start a hobby, you just kind of got to do it, to be honest. Otherwise, you won't ever start it in the first place, right? But yeah, what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, so I was going to be like, oh yeah, so I don't want to be like, oh, I can't believe how you would even do it. Like, it seems like I wish I had your sort of talent. I wish I was, like, you know, born as naturally gifted as you and that sort of thing, when obviously that's not the case. You know, I don't like discrediting people's, oh, you want gold turtle figurine? Oh, we probably have one already, so, you know, I'll sell it to you. 780 is gross underpricing, Lily, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, it's a turtle figurine, so we probably have lots of them. If it's a Zodiac one, I would have said no, because I don't know how many of those Zodiac ones I have. Yeah, but I just like discrediting other people's hard work. You know, obviously people like to chalk things up to, like, natural talent all the time, when really, you know, natural talent is only a baseline. To get to any sort of level of expertise, you're going to have to put hard work in the first place. And so people being like, oh, I wish I was talented as you when it comes to that sort of thing. I don't know, because it kind of, like, there's two meanings of talent, one from being, like, natural talent, and one being from, like, your literal, like, ability, I suppose. And talking about ability sense, that makes sense. You know, that feels reasonable. I wish I could be, you know, like, as able as you are at this particular thing. Fair enough, you know, there was always that sense of envy. I don't think people say it being like, oh, you know, tell me how to do it. Exactly. It's just sort of like, if I could click my fingers and had that ability, I would absolutely. But, you know, sort of like an appreciation for being like, I can't believe how amazing you are, that sort of thing. But, you know, coming at it from a natural talent perspective, if that's, you know, the way that it was meant, it's like, you know, don't discredit the hard work that people have put into things, you know. That's basically it. I think it's actually something I talk about quite, not quite, like, a lot, but, like, it's come up a few times before. Yeah, so I don't know, long and short, I don't like discrediting people's hard work that they genuinely put in, and the years and trials and tribulations that they put themselves through to be able to become as accomplished as they are, you know, today. So yeah, improv musicals, whoa, crazy, amazing. I'm impressed, is the long and short of it. And with that, I'm going to round up this episode here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been dear darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Twitter and Discord down below. And I hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.